So one of the questions that came up during our last live session that we had on the Medical Hub YouTube channel was this: what non-clinical opportunities exist for pharmacists in Kenya? And in my bid to attempt to respond to these questions, let me start with this. But if you think pharmacy only means that you are practicing in a hospital setup, or you're practicing in a retail setup, or even in a wholesale setup, then you could be limiting yourself in terms of the pool of opportunities that are available for you. One of the biggest non-clinical career spaces for pharmacists, especially here in Kenya, is the pharmaceutical industry, and it has a number of opportunities. It is a very large space, a number of roles that are open for you that you qualify for as a pharmacist. And when you're talking about pharmaceutical industries, you're talking about multinational companies, you're talking about local manufacturers, you're talking about importers, you're talking about distributors of pharmaceutical products, you're talking about clinical research organizations. These are organizations that conduct clinical trials before products are launched in the market. Now, let me break this down practically in a way that you are able to digest and, of course, understand better. Uh, in the pharmaceutical industry, you as a pharmacist, your qualification of BPharm degree, you are able to fit in a number of roles. Number one being a medical sales representative. And of course, sometimes or in some certain setups, you'll find them being referred to as scientific sales representatives. And in this role is where you're not just selling, but you're interpreting clinical data from clinical trials, you're engaging with doctors scientifically, and you're positioning products responsibly so that doctors are able to prescribe that product to their patients. And of course, from there, you can grow into different roles, one being product management. And when you're talking about product management, is where you manage a portfolio of products. Here is where you will be responsible for the strategy, the marketing strategy of this product. You'll be responsible for forecasting. You'll be responsible for launch planning, and also training the teams that are involved in selling this particular product. So it's a combination of business plus science. It's a combination of your business skills plus your science knowledge about the products, the science of medicines, and you can also work in regulatory affairs. Once, if you're not comfortable working as a product manager, you can work in regulatory affairs, and this involves dossier submission. It involves product registration at the Pharmacy and Poisons Board, and also ensuring that compliance is effected or is being keenly observed, especially compliance with the guidelines that have been provided for or provided by the Pharmacy and Poisons Board. And also in regulatory affairs, where you ensure that products meet regulatory standards. It's a very technical role, but it's a very important role in a pharmaceutical industry. There's also pharmacovigilance, of course, which is an emerging role, especially for pharmacists in the pharmaceutical industry. This is where you'll be focusing on drug safety. You'll be monitoring adverse events of drugs. You'll be reporting adverse events of drugs. You'll be doing what we call risk management. So if you are detail oriented and you enjoy systems, this is a powerful role for you. Then there is medical training. I'm a medical trainer myself, and this role entails training sales teams, also developing scientific materials with regards to the products that the sales teams are handling. You'll be designing also continuous medical education programs. You've heard about CME programs, so perhaps you've attended CME programs when pharmaceutical companies are partnering with professional associations. They bring doctors together for continuous medical education programs. And beyond that, we have other roles such as market access. We have another role such as government affairs. We have another role such as commercial strategy. That's another role within the pharmaceutical industry that you may want to explore. And even before we proceed, allow me to address something that I think we honestly need to talk about. Roles within the pharmaceutical industry can appear to be fancy, but there are some realities that we need to face. Number one is that the pharmaceutical industry is very competitive. You don't just walk in flashing your BPharm degree and you expect to get a job. You don't do that. On top of your BPharm degree, you need other skills. Number one being communication skills. It is a people-facing role, so you will need to know how to communicate better with different sets of people who have different types of temperaments. You need business understanding. You need confidence, very, very key. You need presentation ability, the ability to stand in front of people and articulate yourself, articulate your thoughts, articulate that which you know. You need strategic thinking, and your pharmacy degree, of course, it will open the door for you. But once the door has been opened, how far you go once the door has been opened will be determined by the additional skills that you have, that I've mentioned: communication skills, strategic thinking, presentation ability. All those skills will determine how far you go. Another reality that I think it's important for us to know is that many pharmacists who enter the industry, they begin their journey at the sales level. And of course, some people may look down on that, but sales is not just selling, especially in the pharmaceutical industry. It's not just about selling. Sale will teach you the art of persuasion. Sales will teach you how to negotiate. Sales will teach you how to be resilient, and also it will give you an understanding of the healthcare system in general. So sales should not be looked down upon. It's a place where you begin your journey if you intend to get into the pharmaceutical industry. If you take a quick sweep around and look at the senior managers in the pharmaceutical industries today, they started somewhere, and that place where they started in sales. So if you're considering an unclinical path here in Kenya, the pharmaceutical industry is a very good place for you to begin, and for very good reasons. One of the most structured spaces you'll ever find is the pharmaceutical industry. One of the spaces where you can easily scale your career is in the pharmaceutical industry. And one of the spaces where it's financially viable, or it gives you options that are financially viable, is in the pharmaceutical industry. But beginning and walking that journey, it requires a lot of intention. It requires a lot of intention. You must prepare yourself deliberately. You have to learn business language, because that is what you'll be using in conversing while in that space. You need to improve your communication skills. You need to understand the Kenyan healthcare market. Very, very important. So begin positioning yourself for the roles in the pharmaceutical industry. And when you talk about non-clinical, it does not necessarily mean you left pharmacy. It's far from it. When you're talking about non-clinical, it means you're applying pharmacy differently, and sometimes even more strategically than those who are in clinical setups. So if this is a path that you're curious about, I want you to drop your question below in the comment section. If you have any question regarding career path or career options for pharmacists in the pharmaceutical industry, please feel free to drop in the comment section below, and I'll respond to those questions either in the next recording or during our live sessions, where we have our question and answer live sessions that touches on matters career. See you in the next recording.